my City Council member, Monica Montgomery Stepp, the chair of our city's Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods Committee, Councilmember Sean Elo Rivera, who represents the district that we are in, San Diego Police Chief Dave Nislight, Bishop Cornelius Bowser, Armand King with Paving Great Futures, thank you for being here, and a number, obviously, of other community leaders who are here in solidarity. I stand here this morning with a heavy heart and great concern about the recent increase in gun violence in our city. Neighbors have been killed, families' lives have been forever changed, community members have been placed in senseless danger. So much of what we have in this city, so much of what we have in San Diego, in this community and others, have become more concerned about leaving their home. The unfortunate truth is that we have an epidemic of gun violence that is not new. We know that this kind of community violence is not new. I'm sorry, this is a difficult day, right? We want to do better in our city. Too many of us have been forced to accept violence as a regular part of our daily lives. And as mayor, I am not willing to accept this. San Diegans cannot accept this, and we must work together to change this. I've long been an advocate against gun violence, and my resolve for this advocacy has not changed with my new job. On my watch, we will lean in rather than shy away. We will speak out on this issue, and more than anything else, we will take action where action is necessary. I believe that my colleagues here this morning can join me in believing that our number one priority is and must always be the safety of our communities. And that's why we're here today. We're here today to condemn the violence, the recent shootings that have occurred in our city, throughout our city. And importantly, we're here to act and to try and bring about peace. So today we are launching a new collaboration between the City of San Diego's Commission on Gang Prevention and Intervention, Community Assistance Support Team, and the San Diego Police Department and other city partners, and it is called No Shots Fired. This pilot program seeks to stop the shootings and the violence and ultimately create safer neighborhoods for all of us. To provide more insight on this program, I'd like to introduce someone that I've been proud to partner with, along with Police Chief Nislight, and whose leadership is critical to creating this opportunity for us to be together this morning. Please join me in welcoming Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp, Chair of our Public Safety Committee. Councilmember.
Just a fact sheet. Okay. No papers flying. Thank you, Mayor Gloria, for that introduction and for being a true partner in the fight for an equitable democracy. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for standing with us today as we launch the No Shots Fired Pilot Intervention and Prevention Program. I'm Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp and Chair of the Committee on Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods. Nearly 2 years ago, many of you stood with us on the steps of the Malcolm X Library to announce our Let's Live, Let's Love peace movement. We laid out a proactive and holistic approach to quell violence that included both short and long-term goals. We were honest and realistic in our plan to interrupt community violence. We know that a lack of economic opportunity is one of the challenges to promoting peace in our neighborhoods. We also know that it is not a quick fix to correct years of intentional disinvestment in our communities of concern. It is by design that this region's systems suffocate our ability to reimagine equity and provide economic justice for people who are hurting and desperate for resources to meet basic needs. Since we stood on the steps of the Malcolm X Library and called for peace and healing, the violence has increased by double-digit percentages. It is very traumatic for our residents to experience violence as a victim, witness, bystander, or even a parent. I want my community to know that I understand your fear, your hurt, and your pain. We are here to help, and we are here because we care. The good news is we have a new mayor who came into office and before his 100-day mark joined my efforts to prioritize public safety in our communities of concern. As policymakers, public safety must be a top priority. I believe that in order to keep our residents safe, we must work together to meet the needs of the people. Through my office's collaboration with the San Diego Police Department and our community partners, South Bay Community Services, Community Assistance Support Team, the Gang Commission, and other partners, we have solidified a plan. So how does it work? Although this is a two-phase pilot program, No Shots Fired is a comprehensive outreach and wraparound supportive services program for gang members. These participants must sign a No Shots Fired or ceasefire agreement for a specified time period. Each signed ceasefire agreement includes a 1-month preparation period to establish baseline metrics, objectives, and goals. The ultimate goal is to develop individual exit strategies from street life by deploying wraparound services, accountability meetings, home visits, and other outreach components to provide viable pathways to success. Phase 2 includes additional programmatic outreach to those who are at higher risk for violence through a No Shots Fired scholarship program. This phase of the program utilizes a 3-pronged approach with cognitive behavioral therapy to address the mental impacts of gang life, a faith-based or spiritual element to address belief systems, and finally, more wraparound services, including team building activities, community service projects, and opportunities to receive financial support with living expenses. The goal of the program is to realize quantifiable reductions in violence in our communities of concern. We have a lot of work to do, but help is on the way. And this is an alternative to what we are used to with regard to law enforcement. Thank you, Chief Neslight, Bishop Bowser, Pastor Sandoval, and Amanda Brown for your hard work in creating this pilot. We know that these are also matters of the heart. This is not about politicizing this effort, but it is about securing funding for this important initiative. A special thank you to Armand King and Paving Great Futures for your work in this space. I also see many community leaders here today who have been doing this work for a very long time, and I want to thank all of you. I look forward to working closely with everyone standing here today to create an equity ecosystem right here in southeastern San Diego. And I just want to say that we have to be an example for the young people that we will be working with. If we cannot work together, how do we expect them to do the same? My prayer is that we lead with love in the midst of violence and chaos. My prayer is that we obtain peace. My prayer is that our young people have opportunity and that we nurture them in positivity. And that's why I'm standing here today. Now, let me introduce my esteemed colleague representing the 9th Council District, Councilmember Sean Elo Rivera, who has hit the ground running since being elected. Smart, supportive, and intentional about representation and centering his community's voice. Thank you, Councilmember, for being a true partner in this fight for equity. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilmember Montgomery Steppe, for your kind words and for the incredible work you've done over the years to make our communities a better place. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Elo Rivera. I'm the council member for the 9th District. I stand here with a heavy heart. I did not prepare remarks because I wanted to speak from the heart. The text message I got from Captain Del Toro on Friday about the spike in violence, which has followed a steady increase, weighed on me heavy over the weekend. I had a chance to talk to my colleague, Councilmember Montgomery Steppe, on Saturday. And knowing the incredible work that she's been doing over the last few years to move us in the correct direction in the right way, we thought it was important to come together this morning. Violence is a symptom. It's a symptom of pain, of despair, and trauma. And there is far too much of that in this community. And my heart goes out to the victims over the weekend, everyone who was impacted. Obviously the victims of the shootings, but those who were on the other side of the guns as well, because we know that you only do those things when you are in pain. The families who were impacted, and the community members The youth who've grown up much too quickly, learning far too fast that they need to hit the ground when they hear loud sounds. The elders who cannot sleep safely, sleep knowing that they are going to wake up to their neighborhood not being torn up by violence. That is traumatic, that is heartbreaking, and we have to take corrective action. I am so heartened by the No Shots Fired program because it is the right way to do things, as Councilor Montgomery Stepp said, in a holistic way. It's a way to address violence over the long term, to make sure that we are healing the pain that is causing violence, and doing so in a step that moves us toward the vision of opportunity for all that I think Councilman Montgomery and I share, because in that future where everyone sees opportunity, folks will be running toward that instead of running away from gun violence. I am deeply appreciative for the work of the community leaders who have put so much time and effort into this, often unpaid because they love their communities. I'm going to step back now and allow them to take the space. But before then, I'd like to introduce Chief Nislight. Thank you for your partnership on this effort as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Eloy Rivera, and good morning to everyone. The reason that we are here today is of great concern to me as the police chief. Because despite being one of the safest large cities in the nation and our officers being present in our communities every day, San Diego has seen an uptick in gun violence. While it's consistent with the trends of violence in large cities across the U.S. that we are seeing, San Diego will not let it continue. Through the leadership of Mayor Gloria, Councilmember Montgomery Stepp, the Commission on Gang Prevention and Intervention, Community Assistance Team, and many other community leaders, we are taking action now to stop it. The No Shots Fired program provides a path forward to do that. It brings together community leaders and law enforcement to reach out to individuals causing harm and encouraging gang members to get out of that lifestyle. For those that don't know, we had a similar program like this nearly a decade ago, and now we're bringing it back. And after months of this program development, we are here to not only reinstate it, but to help bring back peace and safety to our communities. The police department has provided the initial funding for the pilot program of $50,000 through a grant that will get the program off the ground during this fiscal year. And as we head into the budget season, we'll look into making it a permanent investment. Our department will be closely involved with helping identify individuals who are gun involved and have a history of violence, and then connecting them to the No Shots Fired program to get them out of that cycle. Last year, we saw a 28% increase in gun violence and a 10% increase in homicides. Our officers are encountering more individuals with firearms in their possession each day. And just this past weekend, we responded to at least 5 incidents of gun violence. Gunfire should not be a sound familiar to families, children, and neighbors that they become so accustomed to. San Diegans should feel safe in their communities. And as Chief of Police, I am proud to support this effort and will ensure our community continues to work closely with the community, prevent violence, and keep guns off of our streets for good. And now I'd like to introduce Bishop Bowser.
Invitees, dignitaries, participants, ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, I send my greetings to all of you. My prayers go to the families of those who have lost loved ones over this past week, and also to the victims and all those that have been traumatized. Today, I stand with Mayor Todd Gloria, Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp, Councilmember Sean Eloy Rivera, San Diego Police Chief David Nislight, Executive Director of the City of San Diego Commission on Gang Prevention and Intervention, Pastor Jesus Sandoval, SBCS, which stands for South Bay Community Services, and CAS, Community Assistance Support Team, Shafat Outreach, Paving Great Futures, Community Wraparound, Real Teams, San Diego's for Gun Violence Prevention, March for Our Lives and a Rapid Response Team, and all our dignitaries, community organizations, and members. We stand together to call for peace and to announce the launch of the No Shots Fired initiative. I got this concept of No Shots Fired from Reverend Jeffrey Brown out of Boston, who in the 90s started the ceasefire. And as he was talking about a season of peace, he kept mentioning, we don't want any shots fired, no shots fired. So that stuck with me, and the concept I thought would work perfectly in San Diego. But before I begin, let me start by acknowledging that yesterday, a gentleman by the name of Bunny Weller, the reggae luminary, died in Jamaica at the age of 73. He was the last surviving founding member of the legendary group, the Wailers, which he formed the Wailers in 1963 with late superstar Bob Marley and Peter Tosh when they lived in the slums of the capital of Kingston. In 1983, Mr. Bunny Weller wrote a song entitled Ceasefire. There were a few words in the song that captured my attention, and in honor of his life and inspiration, I'd like to share them with you. He starts off the song by saying several times, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. And he goes on to say, and I quote, just lay down your arms and keep no malice. Hey, princes and princesses, cross over the borders and break down your barriers, embrace one another. Because there's a time of war and a time of peace and a time to cease. Just like a raging storm there got to be a calm. For there's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. Let time heal the sores of war. Throw away your weapons. Cease fire. End of quote. So I want to say the same thing to our community members who are involved with the violence. Just lay down your arms, keep no malice, and let's heal together. It has been well over 40 years that the Crips and Bloods in San Diego have been shooting each other, killing each other, maiming each other. I know because I was there when it started, and I would like to be there when it all ends. This war has been longer than any war that the U.S. combat forces have participated in throughout the history of the USA. No wonder our youth in our community show a high prevalence of post-traumatic stress disorder than soldiers in wartime military. I say to our community members who are involved in the violence, I understand your anger, trauma, fear, and determination. But what I need you to understand is the cost of the violent behavior and how it will bring scrutiny upon you, which will ultimately lead to death or life in prison. However, if you stop now and you have an abundance of support right here and all around us and willing to work with you to keep you out of prison, keep you out of the hospital, keep you out of the grave. If you need someone to throw you a lifeline to help you get on the right path, we are here right now to support you. That's why today I stand here with some awesome people as we launch the No Shots Fired initiative, which is a gun violence reduction strategy that includes prevention, intervention, street outreach, community empowerment, and coordination with our government and law enforcement. As our council member, Monica Stepp, mentioned, that the No Shots Fired initiative is focused deterrence, which is solely focused on one area. And the area that we're going to focus on is gun violence prevention. And we also want to focus on a fellowship, a scholarship where we'll support those who agree to lay down their weapons and to a no shots fired to support them and their families as they try to make it. And so we're looking forward to this. We will continue with our work with CAS, going to the scenes and going to the hospitals to work with victims who have been injured through gunshots and gun wounds or stabs or any type of violent injury that's specifically related to gun violence or related to gang violence. So I thank you all, and I look forward to this great work that we're about to begin. Let me introduce to you Mr. Armand King with Paving Great Futures.
All right. He was right. Mike needed to drop right there. Man, I'm glad I got to go last. I wanted to hear what was being said. I wasn't all the way knowledgeable about the No Shots Fired. It sounded amazing. Sounded like an amazing program. And but there's right now some misconceptions I want to make sure we get clear. Everybody here and whoever's watching, San Diego does not have a gang problem. The black gangs it's not the gang violence. It's not the 80s. It's not the early 90s. Bloods and Crips ain't out here shooting each other no more. It is not happening like that. There is less than 1% of the actual quote unquote gang that's doing this, putting in this work and doing this, the violence, not the gang. And being a gang member is not a crime. Being a gang member does not equal criminal. Committing crimes makes you a criminal. And people do that of all walks of life, no matter what they claim, gang or not. There's an uptick in gun violence in San Diego overall, not just in Southeast 4th District, not just with gangs. You know, they say the summertime for us growing up here, I'm born in the 80s. I grew up through the gang epidemic when it was really, really violent back in the day. It's not that anymore, you know, and the uptick and when violence would really start occurring at the most was during the summertime. Why? Summertime is when the kids are out of school. 16, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds with no jobs, no fathers in the household because of the war on drugs and other things that took fathers away from the household, right? This is not for no reason. The young bros out here, they're not just violent and doing this because they're monsters. We failed them. System failed them, not the other way around. We do these press conferences every other year. It's like a good sporting event. We come here and great people come with answers and solutions every time. And we walk away, we watch it on the news, and nothing is done about it. There's still no resources, opportunities that are coming to these communities. Somebody doesn't care enough. And it's not the kids in the community that's doing the violence. They need us, not the other way around. You know, I'm not making up these solutions. Solutions have been there. They've been my predecessors, Reverend Ricky Laster, rest in peace. Minister Hugh, the Harveys, Tasha Williamson. People have come with the answers. Where's the money to make it happen? We have money for everything else. Let the SEALs come up missing in La Jolla and see if we don't find the money for that, right? Let the grass get out of hand at Balboa Park and see if people don't raise a fuss about that, right? You don't care. Are we going to be back here in 2 years? That uptick of violence in the summertime is just extended. Now, these kids been out of school for a whole year now. COVID has brought out problems. It's not just, we just violent all of a sudden. Where did this come from? Come on, we ain't blaming these kids. I'm blaming everybody behind me right now. You know, police don't have the answer. Most politicians don't have the answer. Huh? They need somebody who's been where they are going to show them how to make it back to where God wanted them to be in the first place, right? I said most politicians don't have the answers, but we're lucky right now. San Diego's in the best position I've ever seen in my lifetime. From the mayor, thank God we have Todd Gloria now, right? I actually have faith now, right? Thank God we have a Sean Elo and a Monica Montgomery now. Thank you. All the way down to the County Board of Supervisors right now, Nathan Fletcher, Nora Vargas. We have some people in place, and the talk is real good right now, all right? But now let's find the bag. Let's find the money and resources to back this up and stop doing the same stuff, expecting the same results. Clear the guns off the street has never worked. We've been clearing the guns off the street since the 80s. Somehow people keep finding them. And when we do Operation Clear the Guns off the street, all that means is people that look like me are getting harassed and pulled over and they didn't do anything, right? Incarceration of the people has not answered nothing, right? We've been locking everybody up. Did it work yet? Or did we just take more fathers out and keep the cycle going? Now we got kids still doing the same thing. There's an answer. Provide the proper resources and opportunity to the kids. It's not rocket science. The question really is, does our system care enough? The money is there. We're not making this up. Got nonprofits, organizations out here that just dwindled and phased out that could have saved, and we wouldn't even be here today if they were funded properly. If people really cared and quit giving us crumbs. Here's $50,000 for gang intervention. You guys go do this. Matter of fact, fight over the RGP, whatever it is, fight over it. Put in your best grant proposal. And then if you can't write it correctly, but this organization that's in your hood, not from your hood, can write it because they can pay the grant writer to write correctly, they get the dough right. Come on. My arm from here to here has dead friends in it. Last week, I'm not just talking this, my best friend, one of my best friends just died. And it wasn't gun violence, it was fentanyl and cocaine. That's happening too. The kids, if they're not dying off this gun stuff, they're dying off of medicating themselves. They need help. And repeating the same ways we're going to give this help is not helping. It was an insanity. What's the definition of insanity? Repeating the same thing, expecting different results. We don't need more police in the community. We're over-policed now. They don't care. People were used to that. Real tangible answers that Armand didn't make up. Start listening to the people who had these answers and giving them for years. Once again, do we really care? And I think we do. And I think we have a great mayor in place right now, a great city council in place right now. Community been here. We don't need to get great. We have them. They've been in place. Empower them.
Thank you, Armand. Thank you, Bishop Bowser. Thank you to the council members who are here. We'll take questions off camera one-on-one to answer anyone's questions. But I want to thank Chief Nisleit for his partnership. And I want to thank the community for being here. We know how to fix these problems. Armand and I were talking about the fact that we were both higher youth kids back when we were teenagers. And look at us now. When we make smart investments in our young people and our communities, lives are changed. And that's what we're talking about today. A modest first effort. No more to come. We're going to do the hard work to get this taken care of. And again, I appreciate the partnership of our chairwoman, Monica Montgomery Stepp, Councilmember Ela Rivera, our community partners who are here, and our chief of police. We can get this taken care of. Let's work on this together. And thank you, Armand, for speaking some of that truth. Thank you, Bishop Bowser, for doing the hard work. And thank you to all of the community members who came out here this morning. Your presence here today gives me confidence that we can make progress. Let's do the work, people. Let's grind it out. Let's get it done. Thank you very much for being here.